Hey everybody, I'm back from New York City. I actually had a few people message me asking me about just New York City in general. Not everybody that follows me is a pro wrestling fan, which is one of the reasons why I went to New York City was to see WWE SummerSlam. And that's okay. Wrestling's just my thing. I am going to just continue to talk about wrestling for the rest of my life because it's something I've been watching since childhood. But anyway, I had a few questions about what a kind of a first timer's perspective of what it's like in New York City. So one of the questions that I got was, well, first of all, what was the highlight of my trip? For me, personally, one of the highlights was Times Square because I grew up watching movies about New York. I grew up, most notably at the end of each year watching the ball drop in Times Square. So Times Square was definitely a highlight for me because I like skyscrapers. I like, even when I went to go to Las Vegas, I'm a fan of all the lights and the spectacle of all the fountains and things like that. So that's one of the things that I like about Times Square is I just kind of like the overall vibe of it. Central Park, a lot quieter. It's more quieter than one may think. There's a lot of people there, but you're not shoulder to shoulder with people. I actually didn't find myself very much shoulder to shoulder with people throughout the whole trip. So I did like this. I did like Central Park. Probably outside of any state park I've been to, Central Park's. I'm gonna almost say right this second that Central Park is my favorite park outside of all state parks that I've been to. And of course, the Statue of Liberty. It's another thing. You watch a lot of movies, you see the Statue of Liberty, particularly Ghostbusters 2. I think it was Ghostbusters 2, not the first one. Yeah, Ghostbusters 2, where they used the slime to make it walk around the city, which was really cool. So I had to see the Statue of Liberty. Some say it's not as big in person as it is on pictures and video. I tend to disagree on that. It's pretty majestic. If I had to do the Statue of Liberty differently, I probably would have booked my ferry. The ferry is just a few bucks. It's not bad. Well, more than a few bucks, probably like 20 bucks. And I would have booked a little further ahead of time because if you want to go up and see New York City from the crown of the Statue of Liberty, you actually have to book a little. I almost want to say you want to book 1 or 2 months ahead of time. I didn't book 1 or 2 months ahead of time. I probably booked to like 4 weeks ahead of time, maybe just shy of being a month ahead of time. So I didn't get up into the whole crown of the Statue of Liberty, but I certainly enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed the whole experience. I think if you're pressed for time, like if you're only there for 4 or 5 days like I was, you don't have to see the crown. You don't have to go up into the crown. You can just take the general ferry. Or you could pay a little bit extra. I think it was a little bit extra to get on the pedestal. But if you're trying to manage time, it won't ruin your trip if you don't see the crown of the Statue of Liberty. What surprised me most about New York City? Not really anything surprising. Mostly what surprised me was you're not wall to wall with people like movies show you. It's constant hard cut from, wall to wall people to being in traffic. I'll say the one thing about traffic is you'll be on one street and traffic will be bumper to bumper, but then you'll walk down another street and it won't be bumper to bumper. You'll be able to cross the street. I'm not saying you should do this, but you can safely cross the street on a red light or when there's a no pedestrian walk sign. You safely cross the street easily, which every New Yorker does. They walk across the street on red lights and no pedestrian walk signs. But that's the evaluation of traffic. What surprised me most was mostly the energy of the city. Of course, New York's a different world. It's noted as the city that never sleeps. People from all walks of life are walking around. There are some weird people. I didn't run into a lot of them, but I find as long as you don't acknowledge them or give them like a weird look or give them some kind of, I don't know what some kind of gesture or mannerism or say something to them, you'll be fine. You'll be fine if you encounter strange people. How did I get around the city? I got around the city mostly by subway and walking. I wasn't scared of all the methods of transportation around New York City. Of course, I didn't want to do it by car because that would have taken me forever to get places, and you'd be paying several $100s for parking just to get places. I took an Uber a total of 3 times. Once from the airport, once on the way back to the airport, and then once to get down to the Statue of Liberty. And once I got down to the Statue of Liberty, I kind of just worked my way back up to where my hotel was in Manhattan. And that's when I used the subway. The subway is nothing to write home about. It's a subway. It's a subway. Not necessarily all subways are, subway get off and get on points are the cleanest, but I mean, it's a subway. It gets you to places faster than a bus. I thought about taking the bus, but again, to maximize my time in New York City, I didn't take the bus at all. I took the subway and I walked. Because even sometimes when I walked, I would look on my phone to see what the subway wait times are. And sometimes, like traffic, like regular car traffic, the subways are delayed for whatever reason. The subways have technical issues. The subway has some kind of warning saying, okay, it's going to be 15 minutes late for whatever reason. So walking and subway ended up being the best for time management. I'm not saying don't drive, don't use the bus, but if you're really pressed for time, I definitely recommend the subway. My favorite neighborhood. I really didn't visit any of the neighborhoods. I was mostly in Midtown Manhattan most of the time. Like I just went up and down Manhattan. I have a feeling that if I would have made it to Yankee Stadium, I would have really liked that. Let's see. Have you tried any memorable food during my trip? Not really. I kept it simple. My particular hotel had a $20 credit I could use every day, so I just ate at one of the hotel restaurants. Just basic sandwich and fries. The fries were really good because it's not a very busy restaurant, so it's not like the fry oil is being used for 100 different things, which is that's a perk in my book because I have to watch what I eat. So if there is French fry oil that is used to also cook fish, that is a no. That's a no for me. Other than that, I went to Hard Rock Cafe, which is just a thing with me whenever I travel. I love Hard Rock Cafe. It's changed a little bit throughout the years. Like, I was only a little bit disappointed because they don't play hard rock music anymore. I walked in, I think Billie Eilish was playing, and I'm like, what? Billie Eilish at Hard Rock Cafe? But then again, everything else was just fine. It's just the music was, it wasn't as hard rock as it used to be. I also went to Planet Hollywood. Planet Hollywood is actually a little bit more of what hard rock used to be. Music-wise, it's a little bit more rock music, and a little bit more of the atmosphere is the same as hard rock from, say, 15 years ago. Other than that, I really didn't eat any special places. I kept it simple, kept it at my hotel, ate at my hotel. To keep it simple too, yes, I spent a few extra bucks on my minibar for water, and I had a couple light beers. I did spend some money at the Metlife Stadium for the Hulk Hogan Real American beers, because I am well aware that, or maybe you aren't well aware, that the Real American beer that Hulk Hogan endorsed before he passed is being sold out all over the United States of America. So I don't know if that means it's not going to be made anymore. So I had a couple beers at the MetLife Stadium, Real American beers, just in honor of Hulk Hogan. Let's see. Any tips for someone visiting New York City for the first time? Plan ahead. Definitely plan ahead. You don't have to cram every last thing in. Like I said with the Statue of Liberty, if you do want to go up into the Crown, I would definitely book the ferry. I forgot the name of the website. Maybe I'll post it. On here. Definitely book ahead of time if you want to get up into the Crown. But if you want to just go over on the ferry and just walk around, you could probably get away with booking anytime you want or booking when you get to the actual ferry. The one thing that I will note about the ferry is you have to go through airport style security. So be prepared for that. I was actually I was a little annoyed by the security check because I had TSA pre-check. So I had to do extra things like take my belt off, which was, it's just a little annoying because you already went through airport security to get to New York, and now you have to go through airport security again to get to the Statue of Liberty, plus more things than you would have to do anyway, like take off your belt. I had to take off my glasses. I just do more things than you would have to do on TSA pre-check. But again, I understand. New York is doing a real good job of being a safe city, especially after visiting 9/11. 9/11, it's a very sacred place. But at the same time, I remembered when I got there, and that made me understand everything, all the extra security that I went through to get into places. Like I believe Summit One Vanderbilt had very similar. It wasn't quite all airport style security, but you had to go through kind of through a metal detector type of thing. How was the overall vibe compared to what I expected? The city is everything that I expected. It's very vibrant. It's very hustle and bustle. It's just not as hustle and bustle as the movies show. If you watch all movies from, say, the last 15 years, even current movies that were filmed in New York, the movies tend to portray New York as this wall-to-wall, like you can't breathe. Speaking of breathing, I actually found the air quality. Like I checked the air quality in New York while I was walking around. It was in the yellow, so don't get me wrong, but I actually expected it to be way worse because of all the cars and all the the pollution and things like that. I actually expected the air quality to be a lot worse than it was. Again, it's just very, very vibrant, very bustling. People are. I found that I fit in very well because I walk fast. If you know me, I kind of have a pace to me that I like. That it's just how I am. I kind of have a faster pace than, say, a lot of people do, because if you were to watch me walking down an entire city block, I would probably be the one passing about 8 people. Passing like trying to get around people. So I found that I fit in very well in New York. There's people doing the exact same thing that I just described. So, yeah, that's my experience in New York. Again, I just recommend, if you're going there for the first time, just plan ahead. Get your hotel all set up ahead of time, of course, and plan how you're going to get from the airport to the hotel. I used Uber. Just because I have Uber credits. I get Uber credits every month with my credit card, with my American Express Gold card. I get Uber credits every month, so I just use that to shave off a little bit of the discount. I will mention this though, Metlife Stadium. It's a nightmare to get out of. Especially if you're thinking you're gonna just catch an Uber like 5 minutes after you leave the stadium. Not gonna happen. There were people waiting for hours after getting out of the event each night at Metlife Stadium SummerSlam. There were people waiting for hours and hours and hours, just waiting for the Uber prices to go down so they could get back to their hotel, whether it was in Manhattan, whether it was anywhere else in Jersey. So that is what I recommend, getting a shuttle. I used a shuttle. There's lots of you can just Google Metlife Stadium shuttles, and you'll see which ones are going to Manhattan. There was one in particular I had to do maybe like a 15-minute walk to get to the shuttle because it didn't come to my hotel directly. So I walked to another hotel, got on the shuttle, got to MetLife, made good time on the way there, made good time on the way back. I was getting out of the arena. I'll just say getting out of the arena at 9:30. I was at home, or not at home, back at my hotel in bed by 11 o'clock, or even less than that on the second night. So shuttle, I recommend a shuttle because if the shuttle's a bus, it's not like a van or anything like that. It's an actual bus. In New York, there are bus lanes, so those have an advantage over Uber, regular traffic like an Uber. So you're not as stuck in traffic as you would be as if you were in an Uber. So that's what I recommend, MetLife Stadium into Manhattan, or MetLife Stadium to, if you're not staying close to the stadium. I'll mention this before I go. Also, any hotel that you would stay at MetLife Stadium, even there's one across the street, I don't remember the name of it, but that particular hotel, there's no way to walk to it. There is absolutely no way to walk to MetLife Stadium, which I thought was insane, because I've always found a way to walk to places, like an event venue. Like when I was in Los Angeles, you used to be able to walk to the, you can walk, I probably still can. I haven't been there in a long time because it was called the Staples Center. Now it's called the Crypto.com Arena. But walking to the Staples Center, I was able to do that easily. And anywhere else I've gone, like to an arena or to a show or to like any kind of major event, to avoid parking costs and to save time and money and all that stuff, I am able to walk to where I need to go. But you cannot walk to MetLife. If you were to try walking from the hotel across the street to MetLife Stadium, you would have to do crazy things like hop fences and all that stuff, and you would probably get stopped by a police officer. So the best option to get from MetLife is to take a shuttle, not an Uber, not drive, not take a Turo, not have your own Turo vehicle or anything like that. Is to find a shuttle, and I'm sure the hotels probably the hotels near the stadium have shuttles. So look into shuttles if you're going to MetLife. Within Manhattan, subway. You can't take the subway all the way to MetLife, but to get around Manhattan, definitely the subway. And that's all I got. I had a great time. If you got any questions, leave comments, like and subscribe to my channel. It'll help me out because I'm trying to get into this YouTube thing. Not full time, but I'm trying to get this thing going to get YouTube to notice me, because YouTube's got this algorithm where you have to like videos, you have to have a certain number of followers, you have to have this, you have to have that, you have to meet this metric, you have to meet this criteria. That's what I'm going to try to do, and I want to see how it works, and I want to in order to see how it works, in order to be successful, I need your help. Like and subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you later.